What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on Mets Central. And the Mets win a game. Can you believe it? They actually won a baseball game as they win 7-3 over the Atlanta Braves. The Juan Soto showed tonight. He hits 2 home runs, propels the Mets to a win, and now they have a chance to somewhat salvage this disaster, even though there's really no making any of us feel better about this. But splitting tomorrow, I guess, would salvage at least some of the bad taste in our mouths. But let's talk about it before we jump into everything. Leave a like on your way in, or if you're watching on replay, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. I am sitting here feeling how I did exactly after the Mets won that game against the Philadelphia Phillies a couple days ago. And that is build on it. Because it does not matter if you do not continue to win, is exactly the point, Brian. And I'm happy to see Juan Soto absolutely raking right now. I was so happy to see Ronnie Mauricio go 3 for 4 today. Brett Beatty go 2 for 4. Senja putting together some good at bats. McNeil going 2 for 4. I was very happy to see it. However, the point remains this team, unfortunately, this is where we are too. Because I don't want to sit here after a win and be like, like have this sour taste of still like, they won, but I need to see more type thing. I hate that I have to be here doing it, but that's kind of where we are right now. Over these last 11, 12 games, they have put us in a spot where now you have to earn our respect and earn our trust back for the time being. And will it be tomorrow where you start to see, okay, maybe we could start to trust them again? I don't know, and I hope so. But for right now, happy about the win, but I need to see more before I fully buy back in and trust this team going forward. Unfortunately, that's where we are because at the end of the day, you beat up on a 20-year-old kid, someone younger than me. You beat up on a 20-year-old kid that, quite frankly, you should beat up on. Like, let's call it how it is. They should beat it. And I'm not going to discredit them for beating up on said 20-year-old pitcher because I would be screaming if it was the opposite. And it would be unfair to sit here and scream that they couldn't hit off of a 20-year-old pitcher, but then also be like, yeah, but it was only because they faced him, which is true. But at the end of the day, um, it's good that you beat the pitcher in front of you. You should do that. You should be knocking the kid out early, which they did. But at the end of the day, again, I just need to see more. I just need to see more. And that's the unfortunate part. I love the way that first inning unfolded, though. I will say that. And in terms of the Mets in the field, that is, because I don't know if it was intentional or not. I don't think it was, but maybe it was. I don't know. But all I know is that Clay Holmes on the first pitch of the game throws inside to Ronald Acuna. I, again, I don't know if that was intentional. If it was, that makes it even better. But I love that to set the tone of this game because they need to start playing with a fire under their ass. And I hope that that was intentional. And if so, that makes me very happy to see Clay Holmes go out there and do that. Not hit the guy, but set the tone and throw inside and say, we're not going to roll over and die today. And then you have McNeil make an unbelievable grab out in center field. Like those two things really set the tone for the way this game went. And it looked ugly until the bottom of the third. You had that home run from Mauricio, but then Baldwin responds in the fourth inning. And then in the bottom of the fourth, the Mets end up just blowing the game open, which again, you should be doing against this kind of pitcher right here. You have Soto who leads off that inning with a home run. Alonso gets hit by a pitch. McNeil doubles. Marte hits a sac fly, which made it 3-1. Beatty hits a single, which made it 4-1. Back-to-back hits from Mauricio and Senja. They pull. They end up getting the pitcher out of the game. And then Lindor with a sac fly. Nimmo with a single makes it 6-1. And Soto came up a second time in that inning, which does also bring up a very another point that, we've talked about a lot during the season where it's like, they have one or two innings really where the offense goes off in a game, maybe three. Is that one of those things? To be determined. And I mean, Lindor did get robbed of a home run late in this game, which was unfortunate. The part that pissed me off, though, is that you had to go to Edwin Diaz tonight because here comes Pintaro, which, listen, I'm not going to ridicule him. He was shocked that he was called up. It's his major league debut, but throw strikes, kid. Throw strikes. You are up by so many runs. You cannot walk the first batter. You just can't do that. And then it put them in a spot where, Cunha gets that single, and then all of a sudden he walks Olsen and Diaz has to come into the game. Sucks that it was that way, but with the way this bullpen is, that's just how it is. But yeah, like I said, with this offense, build on this, and then I will be moved. Juan Soto continues to rake like he's done all of June. That's the biggest takeaway of this game. The biggest takeaway in terms of, something on the downside in this game is Clay Holmes, yet again, his location was not sharp because he walked a lot of batters yet again. And that's something that is starting to worry me, considering the fact that after that rocky start, it was the whole report that he did not recover well from that game. And ever since then, now we've seen him lose command in his last two starts. I am really hoping that we are not seeing something where he's starting to get fatigued really early in the season here. If so, that's going to be a very big problem because they need Clay Holmes to be how he was at the beginning of the season going forward. He cannot be walking as many batters as he's been over the past two starts. It is that simple. It is hurting. It's hurting the team and it's hurting his outings because with the way that he was pitching, he could have gone 6 innings. And if you got 6 innings from Clay Holmes, I mean, that would have been huge for this team that desperately needs 6 innings from a starting pitcher. But unfortunately, he just is not commanding his pitch as well at the moment. And it's got to change. It's got to change. And again, I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know what it is, but it needs to improve. At least the bullpen looked good today, which was very encouraging outside of Pintaro. You had a good appearance from Waddell. Budo with a good outing, which was very encouraging to see because this team needs someone to step up and join Edwin Diaz in the circle of trust. And maybe Budo ends up being the guy. I don't know. Stanek had a good outing, which, by the way, I got to say right now, I don't know how much Hayden Senger made an impact or not compared to what Terrence would have done behind the plate. But Hayden Senger just calls a good game. And the difference between when Alvarez is catching Stanek versus when Senger or Terrence are catching Stanek, the numbers are, I want to remind everyone, the numbers are vastly different in a good way in terms of when Senger or Terrence are catching. So shout out to him. I mean, this is why I wanted him called back up because outside of just Alvarez not performing well, I said it all along. At least you are going to get competent defense with Hayden Senger behind the plate. That's just what he does. He gives competent defense, calls a good game, in my opinion, and you saw that tonight. And he did have nice at-bats, like you guys are saying in the chat. Huge shout out to him because the biggest thing right now, until Alvarez gets right in the minor leagues, which the thing is, how long is that going to take? But I'd imagine if it takes if it drags to the deadline where he's not performing well in Syracuse, this team's going to have to acquire a catcher. Even though I do like Hayden Senger. But for the time being, you got to get some good performances while he's behind the plate. And, even when he was up here earlier in the season, he obviously didn't put up insane offensive production, but he was just chipping away and like getting some nice hard contact. He was getting some good hits here and there, having some clutch moments. So shout out to him. Huge shout out to him. So we'll see how much more we're going to see from Hayden Sender going forward. But I like the way he calls the game. I can tell you that for sure. And then, yeah, outside of that, I mean, I don't think I have any other takeaways. All I could say is what I've said the entire post game: build on this effort, and then I will look back on this game and say, this was a turning point. For right now, good win. You need to get a win badly, but I gotta see. I gotta see more. You gotta win me over again. You got to win me over again because for right now, I still have a sour taste in my mouth, unfortunately, from the way the past 2 weeks have gone. Simple as that. But let me see what you guys are saying in the chat right now. I'll have you guys commenting about Soto and then Matt putting up his June numbers. How he's got 325 average, 485 on base, 753 slugging, 8,238 OPS. That sounds like an $800 million player to me. I can tell you that right now. It's so much better when he's actually going out there and playing some good ball. Been waiting for it. We were waiting for it all season long, and now we're finally getting it. And I'm enjoying every second of it. It is so beautiful having this good of a baseball player on our team. It's beautiful. Yeah, this is true. I mean, if they're behind the 8 ball early, and Matt was saying too, hopefully it changes the good fortunes of the season. Shout out to McNeil, which I've been sour when he's out there in center field, but if they go down early in that game, it's like that's a that's a huge kick in the dick because yet again you're playing from behind. So shout out to McNeil for that catch. Changed a lot. And then, like I said, Holmes too for throwing in on Acuna, whether it was intentional or not, it worked out because it set the tone. I'm not worried about Holmes. He's not used to pitching this much, and I think it's a period he has to work through until he gets a second win. Yeah, but that's why I'm concerned because he hasn't had this workload. And what if he doesn't get that second win? That's the problem. Like, I get that with Sean Manaea, we look at last year and it's like, you know, he was not getting a lot of innings previously, and he kind of caught second win. But what if Holmes does not get that second win? That's what I worry about. And I would love it. I think the best case scenario at the moment for this team is once the All-Star break comes around, I don't know how the rotation's going to line up from there, but the best thing that could happen is Clay Holmes starts. I'd have to see how it lines up right now. Let's say. Because he pitched tonight, so 3, 4. I mean, he pitched it. It sucks because it looks like he's going to get 2 more starts before the All-Star break. Because it looks like he's going to get Tuesday against the Brewers, and then Sunday against his former team in the Yankees. Or no, that's not the All-Star break. I was looking at. There's just an off day there. My apologies. I don't know why I got that messed up. I mean, I also I don't know because Senga might return. But assuming the rotation lines up where it's a 5-man rotation for the time being, he would get 3 more starts. So Tuesday against Milwaukee, that Sunday against the Yankees, and then a Saturday game against the Royals. I think the best thing that this team could do is to wait and let Clay Holmes start. Don't pitch him in that Red Series. Wait until the Angels series to let him pitch. I think if you reset the rotation and work it that way, I think that's the best case scenario. Let him get as much rest as possible because you need him to be fresh going forward and down the stretch. That's what I would do personally. Again, I don't know if they're going to, but I would love for them to just try to line it up where you push Holmes as far back as you can. But we'll see. We'll see how they go about that. That's just the way that I would want them to do it. Is that the way they're going to do it? I don't know. They're going to have the info on everything, on his body and everything. But all I know is that Clay Holmes has pitched, like numbers wise, you could argue there's a case for him to be in the All-Star game this year. I don't want him going though if he gets selected. Like I get it, it would be cool, and I'd love to see more Mets represented in the All Star game. I don't want him going on the mound though if he makes it to the All Star game. I really don't. Which I guess if he does start Saturday, they probably wouldn't pitch him in the All Star game because he'd still be resting. But I don't want to see him in that game. He's got to get the rest. He's got to get the rest. And yeah, hopefully it's out of the All Star break. You get more from him, but we'll see. I'm going to wrap things up here, though. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one.